Every time you hear the word development, do you picture Africa? You're not alone. The world has been trying to develop Africa for decades. We've had plans, reports, aid programs, and big promises. But here's the real question. Why hasn't it worked the way we expected? What if the problem isn't Africa, but the way we think about Africa itself? When we think of Africa, many of us think in cliches. That's not entirely our fault. We've been fed a simplified story for decades. But if we want to talk seriously about development, we need to begin by unlearning a few myths. Myth 1. Geography. Africa is hot, dry, and flat. That's what many assume. But in reality, Africa is home to deserts, rainforests, mountains, savannas, and Mediterranean coasts. The idea that Africa is just one type of climate or topography is simply wrong. Africa contains 54 countries and over 30 million square kilometers of incredible diversity. Myth 2. History. Africa didn't have history before colonization. This myth erases centuries, no, millennia of kingdoms, empires, trade networks, and innovation. From Great Zimbabwe to the Mali Empire to ancient Ethiopia, Africa had rich political and intellectual traditions long before European powers arrived. Myth 3. People. All Africans are the same. In reality, Africa is the most ethnically and linguistically diverse continent on Earth. There are over 2,000 languages spoken, yet media often reduces all these people to a single narrative, ignoring the complex realities and lived experiences that differ from Dakar to Dar es Salaam. Myth 4. Security. Africa is dangerous and unstable. Yes, some regions face conflict, but many African countries are safer than some Western ones. This myth ignores the safety, stability, and hospitality found across vast parts of the continent. Myth 5. Politics. Africa is politically hopeless. This is one of the most damaging myths. It ignores reform movements, successful transitions of power, and vibrant civil societies. The idea that Africa is doomed politically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if we keep repeating it. Before we can think about developing Africa, we have to stop misrepresenting it. So, let's start there, by clearing the fog of myths and seeing the continent for what it really is, complex, diverse, and full of potential. What if I told you that even the world map you grew up with is lying to you? Let's look at the map on the screen. This is called the Gall-Peters projection, and it's very different from the one most of us are used to, the Mercator map. The Mercator projection, created in the 16th century, was originally designed for navigation. But over time, it became the default classroom map. And that's a problem. Why? Because the Mercator map distorts the sizes of countries and continents, especially those near the equator. It shrinks Africa, minimizes South America, and inflates Europe and North America. Greenland, for example, appears almost the same size as Africa in Mercator, but in reality, Africa is 14 times larger. Let that sink in, 14 times. The result? We internalize a false visual hierarchy, where rich, powerful nations look big and important, and poorer regions, especially in the global south, look small and insignificant. This isn't just cartography. It's about perception, psychology, and power. The Gall-Peters projection corrects that. It shows countries in their true proportional size, even if the shapes look a bit stretched. Africa here? Massive. Because it is. When people ask, why is Africa underdeveloped? We rarely stop to ask, what if the very tools we use to understand the world are broken? So next time you look at a map, ask yourself, is this showing geography or ideology? Because the way we draw the world shapes the way we think about it. Africa is the second largest continent on Earth, covering 30.37 million square kilometers. 11.7 million square miles. To put this into perspective, Africa is roughly 3 times the size of the United States and larger than China, India, and most of Europe combined. The continent is made up of 54 countries and is home to more than 1.4 billion people. One of the most striking aspects of Africa's size is its immense diversity. From the Sahara Desert in the north to the tropical rainforests of Central Africa, the continent boasts a wide range of ecosystems, landscapes, and climates. Africa's geography is also home to some of the world's most iconic landmarks, including Mount Kilimanjaro, the Nile River, and the Serengeti. Despite Africa's vastness, many people continue to underestimate its true size. This discrepancy is often due to the distortion caused by map projections, particularly the Mercator projection, which greatly exaggerates the size of land masses near the poles and shrinks those near the equator. The distortion is especially problematic when trying to visualize Africa's true size in comparison to other continents. If Africa supposedly has no meaningful history before colonialism, then how do we explain these? Too often, global conversations about grand architecture begin in Europe, Asia, or the Middle East. But Africa has long stood as a continent of architectural brilliance, diverse, ancient, and deeply rooted. From sacred monoliths to vast city walls, African architecture reflects complex societies, spiritual depth, and refined engineering, long before European colonizers set foot on the continent. Let's explore 4 striking examples from different regions of Africa. Top left, the Great Mosque of Djenné, Mali, the world's largest mud brick structure, built in the Sudano-Sahelian style. Each year, the community comes together to replaster it, blending spirituality, sustainability, and social cohesion. Top right, the Great Walls of Benin, Nigeria. Once surrounding the ancient kingdom of Benin, these earthworks were 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China, a testament to advanced urban planning, state power, and defense strategies. Bottom left, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, Ethiopia. Carved into volcanic rock in the 12th century, these monolithic churches form an underground New Jerusalem. They remain places of pilgrimage and are protected as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Bottom right, the Nubian pyramids of Meroe, Sudan, home to over 200 pyramids from the ancient kingdom of Kush. Though smaller than Egyptian ones, they are more numerous and symbolically rich, serving as tombs for Kushite royalty. These structures don't just tell a story of African ingenuity. They expose the lie that Africa was architecturally and intellectually empty before colonialism. The evidence is quite literally carved in stone,